and welcome to our channel Rare Insight. The increasing tension between Iran, Saudi Arabia and the United States that also includes Russia, which is waging war against Ukraine right now, has escalated to an extent that 3 officials have informed the United States that Iran might attack Saudi Arabia soon, or at least within the next 48 hours. As you can see, this news is reported by several media outlets. This comes as Iran has been witnessing severe unrest by protesters when a woman named Mahsa Amini died under the custody of moral police for not wearing headscarf properly. The protest that targeted state-mandated hijab, or headscarf, for women but quickly grew into calls for the downfall of Iran's theocracy itself. At least 270 people have been killed and 14,000 have been arrested in the protests that have swept over 125 Iranian cities. Saudi Arabia has shared intelligence with American officials, warning of an attack from Iran on targets in the kingdom and Erbil in Iraq. The planned attacks, in my opinion, are aimed at taking away the focus from the protests that have swept Iran in recent weeks. At such a time, the U.S. authorities have also stated that Iranian troops are directly engaged on the ground in Crimea, supporting Russian drone attacks on Ukraine's power stations and other key infrastructure, claiming it has troubling evidence of Tehran's deepening role assisting Russia as it exacts suffering on Ukrainian civilians just as the cold weather sets in. The supreme leader in Iran has of course blamed U.S. for fueling protests in the country. Iran authorities have since the 24th of October started hearing cases of anti-government protesters, wherein at least 900 of them have been charged with corruption on earth. Now, if you are thinking about a term corruption on earth, well, there is a whole Wikipedia page dedicated to it. The charge of corruption on earth often used to describe attempts to overthrow the Iranian government that carries the capital punishment of death penalty. After the intelligence shared by U.S. officials with the Joe Biden government, the U.S. has been put on high alert. The Biden administration has been criticizing Tehran for its crackdown on widespread protests, and condemning it for sending hundreds of drones, as well as technical support, to Russia for use in its war in Ukraine. The National Security Council said in a statement that they are concerned about the threat and will remain in constant contact through military and intelligence channels with the Saudis. Till now, Saudi Arabia did not respond to requests for comment. Asked about reports of the intelligence shared by the Saudis, Brigadier General Pat Ryder, the Pentagon press secretary, said U.S. military officials are concerned about the threat situation in the region. Ryder said, "We're in regular contact with our Saudi partners in terms of what information they may have to provide on that front. But what we've said before, and I'll repeat it, is that we will reserve the right to protect and defend ourselves no matter where our forces are serving, whether in Iraq or elsewhere." Iran has alleged, without providing evidence, that Saudi Arabia and other rivals are fomenting the dissent on its streets by ordinary Iranians. Iran said Wednesday that media reports that it is planning to strike Saudi Arabia are baseless and merely an effort by Zionist regimes to discredit Tehran and ruin its diplomatic advances in the region. Ministry spokesman of Iran Nasser Kanani said their aim was to create a negative atmosphere against the Islamic Republic of Iran and destroy the positive process underway with the countries in the region. By contrast, he said, his country's policy is based on mutual respect and international principles, and it continues its policy of good neighborliness. Iran said that they believe in the promotion of stability and security in the region requires increasing interaction with its neighbors, and it intends to continue seriously in this direction. For many of you who wants to know background of U.S.-Saudi Arabia-Iran relationship, the U.S. and Saudis blamed Iran in 2019 of being behind a major attack in eastern Saudi Arabia, which halved the oil-rich kingdom's production and caused energy prices to spike. The Iranians denied they were behind the attack, but the same triangle-shaped, bomb-carrying drones used in that attack are now being deployed by Russian forces in their war on Ukraine. The Saudis have also been hit repeatedly in recent years by drones, missiles and mortars launched by the Iran-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen. Saudi Arabia formed a coalition to battle the Houthis in 2015 and has been internationally criticized for its airstrikes in the war, which have killed scores of civilians. In recent weeks, the Biden administration has imposed sanctions on Iranian officials. Let me take you to the U.S. government official website. You won't believe U.S. government has this whole separate page dedicated to sanctions on Iran, and list is quite huge, to be honest. Like, these are the sanctions for the brutal crackdown on demonstrators after the death of 22-year-old Mahsa Amini in September after her arrest by Iran's morality police. The administration has also hit Iran with sanctions for supplying drones to Russia for use in its war in Ukraine. Even as the U.S. and others raise concerns about possible Iranian action, The administration has not ruled out the possibility of reviving the 2015 Iran nuclear deal, which was brokered by the Obama administration and scrapped in 2018 by the Trump administration. What do you think about the Iran nuclear deal? Should we go ahead with this deal or scrap it like Trump administration did? Although Biden administration said that this deal is not in their focus right now, but we all know that revival of this deal was a highlight point of the Biden's election campaign. Tell us your views in the comments section.